the very first game, it was, I don't even remember anything about it except for running around like a crazy person. Because, again, the first game was the first time we had done all the logistical stuff that we hadn't figured out necessarily. I remember one of my jobs, Sean McCroskey was in charge of kind of getting the stand set up, getting the speakers, make sure the bass amps were good with the audio guys, making sure all the water was out, all the food and all that. My pregame responsibility was making sure that the waters were set at the tunnels, the little Aquafina, whatever they're, little push buggy things. Make sure those were good to go, and then check on the flags of the ACC people, which I think those were Who Crew members who marched out for the pregame show. So that was a big job. So all I could think was it was hot, and everybody needs water. So all I could think of was water, water, water. I ran down the steps into the tunnel. I pushed the water things out. I see the flags of the ACC people. Mind you, this is 40 minutes before pregame, or 40 minutes before kickoff, so it's 20 minutes before pregame. And I go up to the flags of the ACC guys. I'm like, all right, you guys ready? You excited? And they said, yeah, we're excited, but we don't have our flags. And we didn't really know where to park the truck at that time. We had a spot, but it was really hard to get into. So I had kind of squeezed the truck into this spot, but I knew where it was. It was up right behind where the band sits in the stands, like up a little road, some side road somewhere. It's probably not there anymore. But I just went, gotta go. And I took off and I ran, I'm very slow at running, but I ran up the steps, out of the gate. I don't know how I got out of the gate without them asking me because I'm running. Up the street, I grab the flags of the ACC, I run back down, I get all the way to the guys, and I say, here you go, I give them that. Then someone says, we don't have the pregame flags for the guard. And I went, okay. So I ran back up the steps, all the way up to the truck. They weren't there. I ran back, got back to them. I said, I don't know where they are. They said, oh, we found them, which was great. We made it through pregame. I don't remember anything about the game at all. I remember nothing. I just remember how hot it was. And, oh, I'm sorry, I do remember one thing. We had just finished, I think it was the pregame show. The game was about to start, and we were feeling pretty accomplished. I remember there were a lot of high fives and bro hugs and all that. I remember whoever the announcer was saying to the stadium, at the beginning of the third quarter, and it was some promotional thing, when you hear the band play We Will Rock You, you might have a chance to win an American Eagle gift certificate or something. And I remember that moment because we all looked at each other and went, we will rock you? No. And it was that one thing that everybody forgot about, because we had, we stepped off we were the guys, Sean and I marked off how many steps it was from the tunnel to the end zone to figure that out. Everything that we did that year, we had to spend an hour figuring out beforehand. So, I looked at them, and at that time, I'd been doing a bunch of arrangements for the band, like little stand tunes and whatnot. I looked at them and went, I can get it done. So I don't even think I saw halftime that year. I think I saw it at the very end of it when the big flag came out. I don't even remember, but I ran back down. Grandpa Dick was down there by the gator, which he drove the gator, and there was no other person driving it at that moment. I was like, Dick, I have to take the gator right now. He said, why? I was like, no questions asked. I just took it. I drove down to the north entrance of U-Haul. I fired up the computer. I wrote, bump, 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 and I put a repeat sign, and I went, that's good enough. I printed the whole thing out. I looked at it. I said, this is great. I started to copy it. I realized I didn't transpose it, so it was in concert pitch. So I printed it again, and I fired off a bunch of copies. I got back in the gator. I had the stack of paper on my lap. Wind was blowing. I was just holding it down, trying to make sure nothing flew away. I'm zipping past people. People are asking me questions because I looked official with this gator. I don't know what I was doing. I run back up. We start passing it out. And at the beginning of the third quarter, without practicing it or anything. We played We Will Rock You, and that was the kind of daily experience that we had that first year. All those little moments where we didn't know, we would remember or we would forget or we didn't know how to do it, making those things happen was exhausting, and as much as it was thrilling. And now to see how smooth things go, and I'm sure things are still tough, but it looks pretty smooth to me from the outside. So that's that little moment. So that's how I remember all the games, though, like the little things that people might not know about.
I remember definitely the feeling coming out of the tunnel the very first game. I think everybody would say that. Maybe my memory is just exaggerating now, but I feel like that first game, that first year, I feel like the stand seemed so full and the hill seemed so full, and I think everyone was just so nervous. And we'd only been on the field at Scott Stadium maybe once, twice.
I think once. Maybe.
Yeah, and so we're in these tunnels about to just run out there and high step out there, which most of us did not really know how to do. We just pretended, and I felt like there were so many people there, and it was kind of this make or break moment of we have to be awesome, because we were still having to win over people. It was still a time where not everyone was sold on the marching band being there, so it felt like a very important moment. And then we did it, and we played that first note of Cavalier fanfare, and which is a really high note. I mean, not really high, but for me, I'm not the best horn player in the world. It was a pretty high note, and I was so worried about hitting it, and we hit it, and it was so loud, and it felt so powerful, and that was just. And then all of a sudden, the adrenaline comes, and the show's over, the pre-game's over, and that was really special. Beating Florida State that year, what was that? 2006, 2005?
That was after my time. I watched it on TV. But.
Yeah, beating Florida State that year and everyone rushed the field, that was really cool. That felt like a moment where the students and the bands really were together and so excited and joined together in that.
Yeah, for me, I had a great time when I was there, but as a band director and somebody who is around music 24 hours a day and music education, for me the biggest or most exciting moment was going back years later and seeing something that you did at 3 in the morning in the English Inn Hotel still being used or utilized, and also the way the band and the student section sort of feed off of each other. The band is clearly, you guys crazy fans to begin with, but the band certainly pushes them.
I don't think that the students in the band now can appreciate what it means for the student section to participate the way that they do. Like that first year, in those first couple of games, they were just staring at us. The students were not joining in with us on cheers and did not know what to think of us. And to now see them doing the tag dance, they even are doing, horn visuals that you, Kirby, and Preston, and Tim, and Theo, and Richard made up. I mean, I can remember those moments of us standing around and making those visuals up, and some of them are still there, and all of a sudden now the students are, doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And then they're doing the tag dance. Did I say that already? Mm-hmm. That just blows my mind. They're doing the dances, and I think every year we make it back to at least one game, and it brings tears to my eyes almost every time just to see. And things have changed, which is hard to see sometimes. That the pregame show has changed, but it just means that they're moving forward and they're making progress, and it's amazing to see that something we started can grow the way that it has and be so appreciated and so loved, and it feels like it's always been there. It feels like it belongs there.
Speaking about visuals, what show is it? We did Michael Jackson, Jackson 5, and I think that was the first Drumline show that that the CMB did. We had all these visual moments. We kind of wrote the show with minimal drills so we could add in all these, choreographed moments. And I remember staying in that north entrance of U-Haul. There's that little hallway into where the office was. And I remember standing out there with Sean and Trish, and I think Seth Peterson came over because he said he knew how to do some dance move that we didn't understand. We didn't even know what it was called. We stood there for probably 6 hours coming up with different moves that we could teach that night for the band. And the minute that students would come up with an idea for a visual, for me, it was the greatest relief in the world, because that meant we didn't have to spend 6 hours, trying to do something that clearly we don't know how to do. The only dance move I brought to UVA was the Homer Simpson move, which I will not do right now. But you can watch the CMB. I think they still do it at some point. And even that, some drum major, Ben, I forget his name, one of the Western Michigan guys had come up with that, and I thought, well, why don't we just do it at UVA too? That'll be a good move. And for me, that's my dance move. I did it at our wedding too, probably. So that first bowl game, the MPC Computers Bowl, that was pretty neat. There were rumblings that we were going to the Champ Sports Bowl, but it conflicted with final exams or something. So we ended up accepting a bid to Boise, Idaho, not Boise, as I learned. It was tough. I think it was easy to get people to go, but also kind of tough because it was over the Christmas holiday. So we had, I think we had 80 people go, something like that. It was pretty small. We ended up not marching a halftime show. We did kind of a standstill thing. If I recall, I don't think we did drill. No, but we made it work. I had my friends come on the trip because we were short people. So my friend BJ Miles, who went to Kempsville, and I remember Dave Weiss, who wasn't in the band. He played sousaphone. Aaron Keenan, who went to Penn State, he came with us just because I was like, hey, you want to play third trumpet? Sure. So we all came along. We had a blast. I remember we didn't really know how to operate at a bowl game, but I do remember everybody celebrated my 25th birthday because my birthday is Christmas Eve, so we had a bunch of people, come together and celebrate. I remember watching Christmas Day. We ended up watching the Lakers, the first Kobe Shaq game when he went to Miami. We all crowded around the TV in the little restaurant. They had some really neat activities for us. We skied for a day, went tubing. We rode, and I don't know how this was approved, and I don't know who thought this was a good idea, but we rode the snowmobiles through, I think it was at Bogus Basin, but the road was about maybe 10 feet wide up this thing, and there was just a drop off on the side like any giant mountain range in the West Coast has. And they hadn't had a lot of snow and it had been kind of warm, so the whole trail was ice. And we're in these death machines driving up, and I think it was KCP's rode on the back of my...
He was probably like 11 or 12.
I probably was. I'm going to embarrass him. I don't care. Sorry, Casey. He was riding on the back, and we were just trying to get over. We had heard the football team had done it too, and I'm going up like, oh my God, and they were losing snowmobiles over the side of the thing, and people were falling off the side, and snowmobiles were just flying down. I remember by the end of that experience, Casey said, I will never ride with you again, ever. And I thought, well, you know what, you're at least alive to do it. That was a lot of fun, even though it was very treacherous. The skiing was cool. A lot of us had never skied on the West Coast before, or sort of West Coast. I thought that was a blast. What else did we do on that trip? We did a white elephant gift exchange for Christmas, since we were all gone from our families for whatever holidays. So we had a white elephant gift exchange. We made it a lot of fun. It was a good time, and I think people forget about it because the next year in Nashville was 58 million times better than that Boise experience, especially with the way the game went. It was kind of a letdown at the end of the MPC game, but I remember we got all this gear for the first time. We got hats and sunglass clips for your car, and I think I still had mine until a year ago. Yeah, it was fun. We rode mechanical bull in our uniforms. It was a good time. We had a lot of fun. We just made it a good experience. And yeah, Nashville was a lot of fun. People have talked about that though, so I need to get into it.
Yeah.
It was. Oh, I will say, even though I know that we beat Minnesota in the Battle of the Bands, we did have a slight advantage because our MC was Al Ches, who also had his trumpet nearby, who could just blast away. So we always had secret weapons to get them. But that was actually a lot of fun having him on that trip too. And Al was my trumpet instructor at the Crossman, so getting to work with him a couple more years was a lot of fun. I think for me, I didn't want to put my name because that wasn't important to me. I just wanted to write. I mean, I personally knew if I wrote something. Although there have been some years where I'll hear something, I'll go, did I do that, or did Sean do that, or did Drew Cook do that? It's like 3 years later. I have no idea. Or Mike Izzy, or who, you know. There's little things like that, but yeah, I didn't want any glory from it. I just thought it was cool to get to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
So, I mean, maybe a little bit of trivia when people are going through the basketball game books and they see a song written by Roscoe and
Yeah.
they don't know who that was.
We're getting to the point now where I don't remember. I think I wrote All I Do Is Win for the band because I think I wrote it for Chantilly, and I just email stuff to Pease and say, yeah, there you go. And I heard it, and I think it's the same arrangement I did. I don't know for sure. It sounded like it at least. But I remember at a JMU game, somebody was like, yeah, you know, the UVA band plays All I Do Is Win too. I don't like the arrangement, it stinks. And we're going, yeah, it's terrible, except I wrote that, so sorry. You know, because I took all of my arrangements and all and stuff and did it at Chantilly, when the kids would go back for band day or join the band, they knew the book already because it was just stuff that I had taught at Chantilly. So I heard Kanishk going, you know, it was really easy to learn all the stand songs. I only had to learn like 5 because I knew the rest of them. Yeah, a little, that was kind of nice for them. But at first, the first band day, nobody knew any of the tunes except for my kids because it was all still kind of new. So
Even that has grown so much.
oh yeah, the band day and the summer camp.
Summer camp. Mm-hmm.
That's almost like a feeder system for the program, you know, and they can take the techniques that the Cavalier marching band applies in their rehearsals and bring that back to their school. Leadership things, rehearsal things, just the intensity of which we practice, you know, that's important. Well, I think like anything, it was just getting it started.
Right.
And having that same mindset of starting the Alumni Association the same way you started the Cavalier Marching Band.
And we realized, you know, now we have alumni, you know, finally, well, the first year there were maybe, you know, 5 people that graduated from the band, and as each year went by, suddenly there was a bigger group, and it was a group big enough that we could actually start doing things as an alumni association. So I think it was just important to Mr. Pease to get something going, and it definitely is still going through growing pains and trying to figure out what it can be. But I think that everyone involved, it feels the same as it did when the band first started. Everyone involved just wants to do the best they can to create an organization that serves the band and serves the alumni, serves the people that were a part of it. So I think that it's taken some time to form kind of the mission of the Alumni Association, but I think now people who are doing it now are doing a great job, and they're really trying to connect all the alumni together, and really trying to think of ways to for the alumni can stay connected and to celebrate all that they accomplish, as well as serve the graduating members and the band as it exists now. I'm really excited to see 20 years from now when there's hundreds of people there, and just going back for the first alumni band this year was so fun. It was so nice to see everybody together. It was so nice to be on the field and to meet the kids now who are there now and to play again. And I'm really excited that can become something that we start doing every few years. I think that'll be a great addition to sort of the band experience. When Drew was at UVA, we were friends. We didn't even know each other that well.
No.
It wasn't until after he left and he was back and visiting that we got to know each other better. And then on the bowl trip to Nashville, we spent a lot of time together. But I think the coolest thing was just, even though we didn't start dating until after he was gone, I think that we had a lot of friends in common at UVA who he was still friends with, and then also just sort of sharing the common experience. Band was my life at UVA. It was where I spent most of my time, so I think him understanding the ins and outs of what it meant to be in that part of that group was a really cool thing, something we had in common. And then also just the fact that we're band people. I don't think that he could be with someone who didn't understand that world, since that's his whole life as a band director.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the relief. This is months after we started dating, but I remember her mom, or mentioning that her mom was a band booster. And I thought, oh, thank goodness, because I was teaching high school, and I thought, okay, these people understand, the whole family understands, not just Lauren, understands my life, and I understand their life. And that was a really helpful thing in the 8 years I taught at Chantilly, was her understanding I wouldn't be home until 10 every night or later, and then would be gone by, 7 the next morning or 6:45, whatever.
And I actually enjoy sitting at football games
and
competitions.
Go to indoor drumline competitions and watch 55 winter guards and things like that. So it's been
the sounds of drums in the springtime make me so happy.
Yeah. So there you go. True love. Actually, Chantilly, we would play stand songs. The year before I got there, they were 0-10, and the band's pretty intense at Chantilly, but I can't imagine sitting in the stands when your football team's 0-10. The next year they had a big turnaround, and we ended up getting into the playoffs that first year I was there. But we actually had a rotation of about 25 stand songs that we had learned over the course of a few weeks. And we could call up any of those 25 tunes, and we would go a whole game without playing anything twice, because I would just take the speed that we would learn those stand songs at UVA and adapt it to high school. So we had a whole ton of stand songs that we played. We were competitive, so we didn't really do a pregame show, so I couldn't really take anything from that. But anytime we were entertaining the students, I would think back to the Cavalier marching band, or there were some other little things we didn't do it at UVA that I would suggest that I thought, well, hey, this is my chance now. I'm the man in charge. So that was good.